Welcome back to Country Callbacks, y'all, the channel where we take an honest look at the music that shaped America. Today we're counting down the 10 most controversial country songs of the 1980s. These are the songs that started arguments at the dinner table and got pulled from radio stations. Be sure to stick around until the very end of this video because one of the songs on this list landed its artist in genuine legal trouble in real life, and you may be shocked to learn who it was. Let's get into it. The Bellamy Brothers were known for pushing the boundaries of what country radio would allow, and this track was no exception. Love As Good As You Look raised eyebrows for its suggestive, appearance-focused lyrics that some commentators called borderline inappropriate for daytime airplay. The song reflected a broader tension in 1980s country music between the genre's traditional values and a new, more freewheeling attitude creeping in from pop influences. Radio programmers in more conservative markets were hesitant to give it full rotation. It remains a minor footnote in the debate over how far country music could push its content before crossing a line. Most folks have never heard of Marlo Tackett.
Look all she could stand. They said you're gonna have to ride that bull.
And this song goes a long way toward explaining why his recordings never cracked the country charts in any meaningful way. The song tells the story of a woman nicknamed Big Bertha who is challenged to ride a mechanical bull with her weight played as the central joke throughout.
Yeah, she fell in love with a steel bull rider, a honky-tonk hero named Jim. But she knows where it's at, and because she's fat, her chances with Jim were slim.
Lines about her size pepper the track from start to finish, leaning into mean-spirited humor that hadn't aged well, and frankly wasn't all that kind even at the time. The song ends with Big Bertha breaking the mechanical bull, a punchline that says everything you need to know about its tone. It's a prime example of how some corners of the independent country scene in the 80s had absolutely no filter.
Bertha rode the hell right out of that bull. That's what I've been told. And Jim's got himself a brand new woman who's worth her weight in gold. Bertha and Jim will be the happiest pair and live a honky-tonk life that's full. You gotta admit, it's a pretty heavy story. It ain't just a whole lot of bull. Yeah, you sure did.
If you fly in from Birmingham, you'll get the last gate. If you flew in from Boston, though, you sure won't have to wait. And I'm learning a little more every day.
Released in 1980 on the album Habits Old and New, The American Way is Bocephus at his most combative, framing working-class Southern identity as a direct challenge to wealthy, white-collar America. The song includes a crude, sexually suggestive exchange with a high society lady and a fat-shaming punchline that landed poorly even in 1980.
Some high society lady says, "Is your horse outside?" "No, ma'am, he's between my legs, but you're too fat to ride," and you're learning.
The track reflected the chip-on-the-shoulder swagger that made Hank Jr. a polarizing figure throughout the decade, beloved by his core audience and deeply off-putting to everyone outside it. Some radio programmers found its aggressive tone and coarse language more trouble than it was worth, It stands as an early example of how Hank Jr. was willing to alienate half his potential audience in order to speak directly to the other half.
A little more about my ways, what I think about your dollar and your white collar and your good old American way. He's a lover, he'll love her in ways that she's never been in love before. Please get her, he'll get her by getting her into the world she's been hungry for.
Waylon was never one to sugarcoat anything, and The Taker was about as blunt as outlaw country got. The song features a narrator who describes himself as a selfish, dominant presence in a relationship, using language about desire and control that raised plenty of eyebrows among listeners and critics alike. Even by the standards of outlaw country, a subgenre that practically celebrated rule-breaking, the track's raw portrayal of power dynamics between a man and a woman struck many as uncomfortably direct. Radio play was limited in more conservative markets during its run. It remains a song that Waylon fans either point to as authentically honest or quietly skip past, depending on their sensibilities. The Oak Ridge Boys were one of the most beloved vocal groups in country music, so when Bobbie Sue became a massive hit, not everyone was thrilled about what was actually in the lyrics.
Her daddy Robert and her mama Ruth, they had a daughter they named Bobbie Sue, and now she's 18 and she knows the truth. Nobody's gonna tell her what to do. Bobbie Sue.
The song centers on a young woman who has just turned 18 and is pursued by a narrator who makes clear he has been waiting for exactly that moment, a detail that sits uncomfortably once you notice it. Her parents disapprove, but there's precious little in the song to suggest Bobbie Sue herself has a strong voice in the matter. The track's bouncy, carefree production made it easy to sing along to without catching the subtext, which is likely why it charted as well as it did. Looking back, it's one of those hits that gets more complicated the closer you listen.
Her daddy told her that she'd have to wait. Her mama said don't make a big mistake, but we'll be driving till we're out of state, and when they find us it'll be too late.
Now, I Made You a Promise, one of the final songs on this list, landed the artist in genuine legal trouble in real life. Hang on, because you won't believe what happened.
'Cause now you nag, nag, nag. All you ever do is nag, nag, nag. Must I live?
Bobby Braddock was one of Nashville's most celebrated songwriters, co-writing the legendary He Stopped Loving Her Today alongside Curly Putman. But Nag 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 showed a very different, much darker side of his pen. The song features a narrator who complains bitterly about his partner in language that is condescending at best and threatening at worst, with the track concluding with the unmistakable sound of a gunshot, widely interpreted as a suggestion of suicide.
Listen, you're
Turn out the lights, get in the bed. Hey, not tonight, I've got a headache. Ooh, that big hair on your
I
breast.
swear you're gonna be the death of me.
Country Rebel and other outlets flagged the song for its deeply troubling combination of domestic grievance and implied violence. It was a jarring contrast to the sentimental ballads Braddock was best known for crafting. Even in an era when country music dealt openly with hard subjects, this one went places that made listeners genuinely uncomfortable.
Into my heart, Georgia, in 1942. All of them were off the war and the women had nothing to do. I was 16 and hungry, looking for my first taste of love. When I rocked the road strings to her door, I didn't know how close I was.
T.G. Shepherd had a smooth, polished sound that made this song go down easy, but what it was actually saying did not sit well on closer inspection. The track tells the story of a teenage boy who sleeps with a lonely woman whose husband is away at war, and rather than treating the situation with any real moral weight, Shepherd delivers it with a tone that is oddly breezy and condescending toward women. Lines suggesting that women on the home front had nothing to do ignored the enormous workforce contributions women made during World War II, staffing factories, building aircraft, and holding the country together. The song's steamy lyrics drew just as much criticism. Not only were the lines nearly too hot for radio stations to handle, but they were depicting an unsettling and adulterous relationship between a full-grown woman and a teenage boy. Charlie Daniels was no stranger to big, opinionated songs. A Country Boy Can Survive had already established him as a voice for hard-edged Southern conservatism, but Simple Man took things in a much more polarizing direction. The 1989 track lays out a vision of vigilante justice in which criminals are dealt with outside the legal system, including harsh physical punishments and executions, all delivered with Daniels' signature fire and brimstone conviction.
Well, the good book says it, so I know it's the truth. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. You better watch where you go and remember where you've been. That's the way I see it, I'm a simple man.
Critics pointed out that the song essentially celebrated bypassing due process and the rule of law, which alarmed civil liberties advocates even as it thrilled listeners who felt the justice system had grown too lenient. It became one of the most debated songs in Daniels' catalog, beloved by fans who saw it as righteous common sense, condemned by others who saw it as a dangerous fantasy. The tension between those two readings is exactly what keeps it controversial to this day.
You just take them rascals out in the swamp, put them on their knees and tie them to a stump, and let the rattlers and the bugs and the alligators do the rest. Well, you know what's wrong with the world today. People done gone, put their Bibles away. They're living by the law of the jungle, not the law of the land. Well, the good book says it, so I know it's the truth. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. You better watch where you go and remember where you've been. That's the way I see it, I'm a simple man. You better watch where you go and remember where you've been. That's the way I see it, I'm a simple man.
If the South Woulda Won, we'd have had it made. I'd probably be the president of the Southern state. The day young Skinner died, I'd show you how we cried. If the South Woulda Won, Ronnie, we'd have had it made in the shade, baby.
Hank Williams Jr. released this track in 1988, and it landed like a grenade. The song imagines an alternate history in which the Confederacy won the Civil War, and the details Bocephus fills that fantasy with are staggering. References that critics called racially inflammatory, economically isolationist, and at times simply incoherent. Many radio stations declined to add the track to their rotations, and Hank Jr. faced a significant wave of public criticism that was unlike most anything else in his career up to that point. Remarkably, despite all the controversy, the song still managed to reach number 8 on the Billboard Hot Country Singles chart, a testament to just how devoted his core fan base was. Whatever you read on it, it remains one of the most radioactive recordings ever to come out of Nashville.
I have all the cars made in Carolina, and I'd ban every one of them made in China. I'll have every girl child speak to Georgia to learn to smile and talk with that southern accent. It drives me wild.
I know you'll excuse me if I say goodnight.
you ready for the most controversial country song of the 1980s? Though it was written in the 60s, Johnny Paycheck didn't release it till 1979, and it caused a ruckus throughout the 80s. Paycheck had a reputation for living on the edge, and this song made clear that reputation wasn't just an act. The narrator announces, with eerie calm, that he is on his way to commit a murder, framing the act not as rage or impulse, but as something inevitable, born from a life he describes as already lost. That sense of resigned darkness was what made the track so genuinely unsettling. It wasn't shock for shock's sake, but a portrait of a man who feels he has nothing left to lose. Radio programmers were deeply uncomfortable with it, and its airplay was severely limited as a result.
By the time you tell the sheriff, it'll all be over. He'll find me at their big house on the hill. He'll find a note explaining why I killed us all. Now it's time to go. I've got someone to kill.
And here's the kicker that makes it #1 on our list. In December 1985, Johnny Paycheck shot a man following a verbal altercation at a bar in Hillsboro, Ohio, was convicted, and actually served time in prison, making him one of the very few country artists whose real life came to mirror the darkest corners of his recorded work. That overlap between the song and the man is something country music has never quite seen before or since. And that's our list, folks. 10 songs that made people talk, argue, cringe, and occasionally reach over and change the station. Country music has never been afraid to go to uncomfortable places, and that's part of what makes it so honest and so enduring. Do us a favor and hit that like button. It helps more country music lovers find our channel. And if there's a controversial country song from the 80s you think we missed, drop it in the comments. Until next time, y'all, keep your boots on and your dial tuned to Country Callbacks.
I listen to you.
Don't do this